Imagine you could reach back into a decade buried deep in gaming history. Pull out the one game that absolutely wrecked you as a kid. The one that made you lose sleep, skip lunch, and forget homework existed. And play it again, but this time rebuilt from the ground up with today's technology, new graphics, new physics, new storytelling, but the same soul. The same magic that made it unforgettable in the first place. That is not a fantasy. That is a conversation the gaming world desperately needs to have right now. And today, on the Inventor realm, we are having it. These are the 10 old games that deserve a full, no-compromise, modern remake. Ranked by how badly the gaming world has failed them since they were left behind. Starting with number 10, and this one might surprise you, Bully, released by Rockstar Games in October 2006, was one of the most original games ever made by a studio known for Grand Theft Auto. You played as Jimmy Hopkins, a teenager dumped at the fictional Bulworth Academy, navigating a school social hierarchy that was surprisingly deep and emotionally honest. According to IGN's review from 2006, which gave the game a 9.0 out of 10, Bully managed to tell a story about adolescence, loyalty, and belonging in ways that most games never attempt. It performed solidly at retail, and yet Rockstar has never truly revisited it. There was a Scholarship Edition remaster in 2008, but that was a port, not a remake. A full remake with modern open-world design, updated dialogue, and today's production values would be a massive cultural moment because the themes of bullying, identity, and fitting in are more relevant now than they were in 2006. This game deserves better than being a forgotten Rockstar footnote. At number 9, we have Crimson Skies, High Road to Revenge. A 2003 Xbox exclusive developed by Fossa Studio, this one gets overlooked constantly, and that is a crime. Crimson Skies puts you in the cockpit of customizable fighter planes in an alternate 1930s America, where the country had fractured and air pirates ruled the skies. The combat was fluid, the world was stylish, and the gameplay loop was genuinely addictive. It holds an 88 out of 100 on Metacritic, based on 49 critic reviews, making it one of the highest-rated Xbox games of that era. Fossa Studio closed in 2007, and Microsoft has held onto the franchise rights ever since without doing anything with them. In a market where dogfighting games are essentially extinct, Crimson Skies remake with modern aerial combat, a rich narrative, and online multiplayer would fill a gap that has been empty for 2 decades. Microsoft clearly does not realize what it is sitting on. Coming in at number 8 is Manhunt, Rockstar's dark and deeply controversial stealth game from 2003. Before you say anything, yes, this game was banned in multiple countries. Yes, it stirred enormous controversy, but strip away the noise, and what you have is a genuinely brilliant stealth system built around tension, patience, and brutal consequences. The Hollywood snuff film concept was uncomfortable on purpose, and the game used that discomfort as a design element. Metacritic records it at 76 out of 100 for the PS2 version, a modern remake with refined stealth AI, cinematic presentation, and the kind of psychological storytelling we see in games like Alan Wake 2 would transform Manhunt from a controversy into a masterpiece. Rockstar has the budget and the talent. What it apparently lacks is the nerve. Number 7 is Jet Set Radio, Sega's cel-shaded inline skating masterpiece from 2000. The game launched on the Dreamcast under the name Jet Set Radio in Japan and Europe, while North American players knew it as Jet Grind Radio. It had players spraying graffiti across a fictionalized Tokyo while evading police, and doing it all to one of the most celebrated video game soundtracks ever assembled. According to Sega's own acknowledgments in various developer interviews, the Dreamcast version sold modestly, but built a cult following that never faded. There was an HD remaster in 2012, but it was a Minimal effort that barely scratched the surface of what this franchise could become. The game's visual identity, its music-driven energy, and its social commentary about corporate control of public spaces are timeless ideas. A full remake with an expanded city, and no original soundtrack, and online multiplayer would be one of the most exciting things Sega could possibly announce. But Sega continues to be Sega, which means the most they will probably do is release it on a mini console no one asked for. At number 6 sits Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver from 1999. Developed by Crystal Dynamics and published by Eidos Interactive, you played as Raziel, a vampire turned wraith, hunting his former brothers across a decaying, gothic version of Nosgoth. What made this game extraordinary was its world design and its writing. The script was directed and co-written by Amy Hennig, who later went on to create the Uncharted series at Naughty Dog. According to a 2020 retrospective by Eurogamer, Soul Reaver had one of the most ambitious narratives of the PlayStation era. The game sold well and spawned multiple sequels, but the series went completely silent after Legacy of Kain. Defiance in 2003. Crystal Dynamics was acquired by Embracer Group from Square Enix in August 2022. And while the rights now sit with Embracer, the franchise has still received no revival announcement. A remake with modern open world exploration and that same layered storytelling would be an event game. The audience is waiting, and patience has a limit. Now, if you are enjoying this video so far and you want to be part of a community that takes gaming history this seriously, hit that subscribe button right now and join the Inventor Realm family. We cover the games, the stories, and the conversations the industry keeps avoiding. Now let us get into the top 5, because this is where things get serious. Number 5 is Dino Crisis, the 1999 survival horror game from Capcom. Directed by Shinji Mikami, the same man who created Resident Evil. While Resident Evil had zombies, Dino Crisis had dinosaurs. And the psychological difference was enormous. Dinosaurs are faster, smarter, and they adapt. The game used that to build a different kind of tension from anything Resident Evil offered. According to Capcom's official Platinum titles list, the PlayStation version of Dino Crisis sold 2.4 million copies worldwide, making it one of the stronger new IP launches of that console generation. The series declined after a poor third entry in 2003, and Capcom has left it dormant ever since. But consider this: Capcom remade Resident Evil 2 in 2019, and it became Metacritic's highest-rated game of that entire year, with a verified score of 91 on PS4. The Ray engine exists. The team exists. The audience is screaming. A Dino Crisis remake using the Ray engine is not just possible. It is practically already designed in the imaginations of a million fans. At number 4, we have Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. Developed by BioWare and released in 2003. KOTOR, as it is known by every person who ever played it, remains one of the greatest RPGs ever made, and arguably the best Star Wars story told in any medium outside of the original trilogy, set approximately 4,000 years before the events of the Star Wars films. The game gave players a fully voiced cast, a branching narrative with genuine moral weight, and a third-act twist that many game critics cited as one of the greatest story moments in gaming history. It holds a verified Metacritic score of 90 for on the original Xbox, and won over 18 Game of the Year awards. Aspyr Media announced a remake in 2021, but the project was reported to be in serious trouble in 2022, with development paused and leadership changes causing uncertainty. As of available records, the fate of that remake remains deeply unclear. This game deserves the full treatment it was promised, and the Star Wars universe needs a story this bold right now more than ever. Number 3 is Jade Empire, BioWare's 2005 action RPG that is essentially a forgotten masterpiece, set in a mythological ancient China-inspired world. Jade Empire blended martial arts combat with a morality system built around the philosophies of the open palm and the closed fist, representing compassion versus personal power. It was not a simple good versus evil binary, and that moral complexity made every choice feel meaningful. The game scored an 89 on Metacritic for the original Xbox, based on 80 for critic reviews. Commercially, the game sold over 500,000 units in its first year, falling short of its 1 million unit sales target, largely because it launched at the end of the Xbox's life cycle just months before the Xbox 360 arrived. BioWare never returned to the franchise, pivoting instead to Mass Effect, Dragon Age, and later the troubled Anthem. In a world where games set in Asian-inspired fantasy worlds like Ghost of Tsushima and Wolong Fallen Dynasty have proven massive commercial success, a Jade Empire remake is not just a nostalgia play. It is a business opportunity that BioWare inexplicably ignoring while struggling to remain relevant. At number 2, taking the second spot on this list, is Max Payne, the 2001 noir action masterpiece from Remedy Entertainment. Max Payne introduced bullet time to gaming, letting players slow down combat into slow-motion sequences that felt cinematic and brutal in equal measure. But the mechanics were only half the story. The game's screenplay was written by Sam Lake, Remedy's creative director and lead writer, and it was a genuine piece of noir fiction. Max narrated his own descent through rainy New York rooftops and corrupt pharmaceutical conspiracies in monologues that borrowed from Raymond Chandler and James Ellroy. The Max Payne series sold over 7.5 million units across all platforms combined as of 2011, before Max Payne 3 was even released. Rockstar confirmed in April 2022 that Remedy is now developing remakes of both Max Payne 1 and Max Payne 2, funded by Rockstar Games, using Remedy's own Northlight engine. And both games will be released as a single combined title. And given Remedy's track record with Alan Wake 2, the expectations for these remakes could not be higher. Max Payne deserves nothing less than perfection. And for the first time in a long time, it might actually get it. And at number 1, the game that absolutely cannot wait any longer, the game that defines what this entire conversation is about. Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, released by Ubisoft in November 2003, and directed by Patrice Desilets. Sands of Time was built on the foundation of the original Prince of Persia franchise created by Jordan Mechner in 1989. Mechner returned for this project as a writer, designer, and creative consultant, helping shape a story that the gaming world would not forget. It combined fluid wall-running platforming with a dagger that could rewind time, wrapping both mechanics inside a genuine love story between the prince and the princess Farah that felt emotionally earned. The game holds a Metacritic score of 92, with both the GameCube and Xbox versions earning that same prestigious number. Ubisoft announced that remake in September 2020, and what followed was one of the most embarrassing development disasters in recent memory. The project was delayed multiple times, the original development team was reassigned, and Ubisoft later confirmed the remake had been moved to its Pune and Mumbai studios in India. As of the last available reporting, the project has still not received a properly confirmed release window. A game this important, too. The history of the medium, a game that defined an entire generation of action platformers, deserves a team and a budget that match its legacy. Ubisoft has the property and continues to stumble over it. The Prince of Persia deserves the respect that only the very best version of this remake can provide. These 10 games are not just nostalgia bait. They are unfinished business. They are chapters of gaming history that were closed before their stories were complete. And every single one of them has a fanbase that never let go. The good news is that remakes are no longer experiments. Resident Evil 2, Demon's Souls, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Dead Space, and The Last of Us have all proven that rebuilding a beloved game with modern craft is not just commercially viable. It is a path to critical glory. The question is not whether these games can be remade. The question is whether the studios holding these licenses have the vision and the courage to do it right. If this video made you feel something, if there is a game on this list that you grew up with and still miss, tell me in the comments which one matters most to you. And if you are not subscribed to the Inventor realm yet, do it right now. We are building something here that goes deeper than the usual gaming content. Real conversations about the games that shaped us, the industry that keeps changing, and the stories that deserve to be told. Hit subscribe. Turn on notifications so you never miss a drop. And I will see you in the next one.